Hey, and welcome back to the channel, flight sim enthusiasts and all of you racing sim junkies. This is part one of the Dr ADHD 3.5 degree of freedom modification into the 4.5 degree of freedom, adding a fourth axis, and that is our new surge axis. I'm also shortening the motion simulator platform from 2000 millimeters in length down to 1600 millimeters in length. This is video one of this series, and the first thing that I'll be starting with is cutting off the front motor mount bracket here. So for anybody that's been following the 3.5 degree of freedom and you've built your 3.5 degree of freedom and you wish to now convert this and modify this into the 4.5, you're going to have to remove your front motor mount bracket. It's welded along the back of the 100 by 50 spine, and it's welded on the front. You will need to take a cut-off disc, put it on your angle grinder, and you'll need to cut this off. That's the first thing to do. Excuse the fan, guys. I've got my big fan running while I'm doing this just to keep the dust. And you're going to have to get a cold chisel or something of that description to sort of persuade this as you're cutting it. So you know where you're at with separating the two. And you've just got to keep chipping away. You might go through a couple of discs to get this successfully cut off. Once we can get it moving, we'll just cut a little bit more from the front. Okay, we'll get the 5-pounder. And it's that simple. So just a little bit of patience, guys, and you'll get that off. That's step one. It keeps everybody so cool and dust free. Okay, so our motor mount bracket, guys, that we've just cut off, we need to now get our either a grinding disc, okay, so either traditional angle grinder grinding disc, we need to put that on our angle grinder, or these are great too, one of the sandpaper pads, right? And we need to clean up all of these really sharp, jagged areas here that are a result of cutting the weld. Through here, you'll see these holes. They're from the tech screws that were holding on the little hatch that held on the connectors for our potentiometer connection to our traction loss motor. The little interface patch cables, they were on a little hatch. I'm going to weld these back up again so this is structurally sound. This all needs to be cleaned up and made nice and smooth like the other side, right? Ding! And we also need to clean up where we've cut it off on our mid-frame spine. So right at the end down there, where we just cut that motor mount off. Sorry, this is going to be probably a bit grainy, but you can see there, that's all sharp weld beads. They need to be ground so that it's smooth like the rest of the top of that 50 by 100 box. So that's the next step, guys, is to get both of those cleaned up. The next step is to separate our top frame from the mid frame. That's joined at our uni joint. And if you cast your mind back, you will remember that we used M8 bolts to achieve our connection. Well, it's a combination of M8 bolts and some 12G 45mm Tech screws. But I will start with the bolts. So we just need to separate our top frame because we need to cut our top frame down from 2000mm in length down to 1600mm in length. And we also need to grind our uni joint off the mid frame because it needs to be located further forward on the mid frame for the 4.5 degree of freedom modification, and also it will become mobile on the spine. So that uni joint will be on a bearing carriage, so then the actual top frame can travel fore and aft for our surge axis. Take this off. This is being a little bit stubborn. There we go. I've got 2 on this one, and then those 45mm Tech screws. I shall continue to do that, and you will do the same if you have a complete 3.5 and you're doing this modification. Okay, just about there with this now. Keep your washers, your spring washers and your nuts together. Very important to keep your nuts together. Okay, and then let's get these guys out. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I apologise, ye old 3.5 degree of freedom, for having to put you through this trauma, but the doctor cannot live without more access, without more degrees of freedom. He's an addict, so therefore you must suffer, my beloved. Now this could get a bit wild, guys, when this comes out. It's holding at the moment. I've got the front of my top frame, as you can see, just on some car stands, some car jack stands, but it is now actually technically separated now that I've undone that connection to the uni joint. So it's now separate. So I'll bring this back here so then the camera doesn't get damaged or knocked over, because anything can happen in the doctor's workshop. Anything can happen, and everything probably will happen. So it's the entertainment factor, peeps, it's really high. Okay, there we go. So it didn't make a liar out of the doctor. Oh, son of a bitch. Let's set that here for now. Our beloved Australian muscle. Rightio. So now, guys, the next step is going to be cutting the uni joint off. And that is going to be basically a similar procedure to what we just did with the front motor mount bracket. I've just got to work my way around the uni where it's welded on to the 100x50 spine here. Remove it, because it as well will be going onto a carriageway that runs along the spine on some wheels. So that's the next thing you'll do if you are modifying your 3.5. Thought I might take the opportunity while the top frame has been removed from the mid frame about how I ended up finishing the connection between top frame and mid frame. So that's what I settled on, guys. Okay, you remember we had our piece of flat, our 75x5mm flat. I ended up welding in some 2mm angle, okay, that the top frame sits inside, that the cross bracing sits into this angle, okay, and then it's a combination of M8 bolts that come through this direction at the back. So they come through the 25x25 cross bracing box, and they come through the top. So at the back they come horizontally, the top they go vertically, and then they also have 3 Tech screws into the box at the front and 1 Tech screw in at the back. That's how that top frame is all held on, and it works very well. It means that you can actually adjust the top frame to help get it lined up when you're first putting your top frame on, to get it lined up with your motors at the front. This system allows you to be able to move your top frame left and right, get it where it exactly needs to be got. So you'll pre-drill your angle, obviously, with your M8 9mm holes here. Once you've got your top frame lined up, you'll be able to just mark on the 25 by 25 box where they need to be drilled. Then you can take that off, drill the holes, put your bolts through, you've attached it to your mid-frame. Simple as that. Okay, I'm going with my corded angle grinder this time because it's just got a lot more grunt than the battery angle grinder. You will find that with corded grinders and drills. I did mention that in the tools needed for the build. And this is just going to take a little while. It just requires patience and long suffering. And something for the doctor's needs. I didn't muck around when I welded this on. It's a very good weld. So it is going to take a while to get this bastard off. As they say, bearing's starting to go on this grinder. It's quite an old grinder. You'll notice the doctor using all the latest safety equipment, his guard and everything on his on his angle grinder here. What I'm trying to do, guys, I'm trying to hold the grinder horizontal, right? I don't want to chop into my mid frame like this or into the uni joint, nice and straight. Man, I really did do a good job welding that. I've been at this for some time, guys. I really did do a good job of welding this, and of course that was important because this is holding me and everything on the frame, on the motion seat, but this means getting it off is quite a challenge. This is my third disc to get into the weld enough to be able to get this off. In fact, I'm going to need to change again. There's plenty of disc left on this, but because of the depth that I'm having to go into the grinder start interfering on the uni. Okay, I'm through this side, but I'm going to try and take a little bit off the back side. And I'm going to get the 5-pound hammer. You've got to be careful because this is a cast uni joint here, so if we're not careful we could break the actual uni joint itself. So I'm just going to try and get a bit more off this side here. Okay, I'm going to see if I've got this weakened enough to begin to basically just fatigue the weld that's left on the other side. So I'll get my 5-pound hammer and I'm going to get a block of wood, just a little bit of timber so it's not full metal on metal. Let's see what happens. I think we're having a win here. Yep. So it's moving. And there it goes. That's it for part one of the 4.5 degree of freedom modification on the 3.5 Dr ADHD motion simulator platform. Where this has come off, I will need to clean that up, get that completely smooth, and get my plate, which we'll do in the next video, welded on the bottom of our uni. That's going to ultimately take our axle setup with our wheels that will run on our mid-frame. So until the next video, guys, you stay safe, stay healthy, and take it easy out there.